give a big round of applause for the person with the perfect voice that we all wish we had, Dennis Daly.
You know, I think the next time I give somebody my bio, I'm going to tell them I worked at Walmart. Because the expectation that you now have for me is enormous. The fun thing is I had some great jobs in Washington, D.C. Some of them didn't last very long, but, you know, they're fun to put on a resume. By the way, John, it's Daly, not Delhi. Very common mistake. I don't know where John's from originally, but I love traveling because people have these wonderful accents around the country. I had a friend named Jeff Dale from southern Indiana, D-A-L-E. He said, "Hi, I'm Jeff Dell." I said, "No, Jeff, it's Dale." That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Dell. He would lose airline reservations because they didn't know what he was saying. I would go home at night. My mom, God love her, hi, Mom, would say, "Denny, you want some fish?" I say, "Mom, it's fish." She said, "I'm saying fish." But I came from a part of Indiana where we say things such as, "Don't push me into a bush, get me a cushion." Oh, gee, I wounded myself. Probably get an information in it now. Have to take an antibiotic to cataract the information. If I wound myself again, I'll run to the zinc and wrench it out. Now, do you know how tough it is to get rid of that accent? But I went to college, and we had this wonderful professor, Dick Yoakum, who used to work for Mad Magazine. So imagine what a nutty school Indiana University was. And Yoakum said, "Anybody here ever want to work outside of Indiana?" And he looked right at me, who, I was talkative at one time. He had heard me talk a lot, and he said, "You will never work outside the sticks unless you find somebody and dream about their voice." Well, that night I turned on NBC TV and I heard, "It's Gary Owens," from Laugh-In, who, by the way, is still doing well. He got his voice back. He lost it about a year and a half ago. So I decided I wanted to sound like Gary Owens. Now, I will tell you this. My speaking voice, if I had stayed in Indiana and sold shoes, would be very high, squeaky, and have a strong accent because I sing, "Oh, Danny boy," up here. But over the years, I've driven my voice down. And I used to find when I traveled a lot, if I've got somebody on the phone, particularly a nice lady, I would say, "You know, I really have to get on that plane." And they would say, "Oh, hold on." And they would get me on the plane. By the way, did John go to the restroom again? Where are they? I think you all should know where the restrooms are. Where? They're out and down the hall? All right, you stay out there the whole day, John, and direct traffic. You're no good in here anyway. Also, whoever called John the chair, can we once and for all fix that? You're a chairman or a chairwoman or a chairperson, but you're not a chair. And the reason this irritates journalists is that the tradition of the word chair goes back 4,000 years. Any of you Catholics are not afraid to admit it? Good. Every diocese has a bishop, and if the bishop has to speak officially, there's only one place he can make an official announcement, and that is at the cathedral. Cathedra is the Latin word for chair. And when the bishop makes a pronouncement, he speaks ex cathedra, from the chair. And the king sits on a throne, which is a chair. And Riverside is the seat of government. So the whole concept is, it doesn't matter who the mayor is or who the chairperson is, they are honored with the responsibility of sitting in the chair. The power is in the structure, not in the person of the moment who occupies that position. So let's do two things if we do nothing else today. Let's stop using the word chair when we mean chairman, chairwoman, or chairperson. And the next time you have a meeting, make sure there's something for diabetics to eat. I mean that. If you're going to be a leader, the next time you have a luncheon meeting, say, "God damn it, we're going to have something that doesn't have sugar in it." And if you can't find it, go to Vegas and go to any casino there and look on their buffet, and they've got sugar-free cheesecake, and find out where they make it. Please. I tried for years when I traveled as a travel writer to convince Wendy's or McDonald's or somebody to have one good, decent-tasting, sugar-free dessert so grandparents could go there with their grandkids and not have to eat toast and drink coffee. while their kids ate ice cream. And so what does Wendy's do? It comes out with a new Frosty, a vanilla Frosty that has more sugar in it than the chocolate Frosty does. It was 50 years ago next month that I attended my first leadership conference. I was very involved in Red Cross Youth at the time. And this little funny woman, Mary Rust, was the chairwoman of Red Cross, and she arranged for me to go to Miami University. And there I am, 13 years old, scared to death, wearing a Madras plaid jacket. And if you don't think I stuck out like a sore thumb, this kid's from the sticks. So I asked Mary, I said, leadership, why do I at age 13, who am I going to lead? Now back then I would have said who, now it's whom. I learned a little bit in college from Mad Magazine. Whom am I going to lead? And she sat me down and she said, Dennis, the first thing you've got to do is lead yourself. And I never did forget that. I did forget one other thing. The first interview I did in college was with the head of the building and loan in Bloomington, Indiana. And he said, Dennis, remember all your life, instant credit is instant debt. Well, I didn't remember that one. That's why I'm here after a varied career with the specter of working at McDonald's probably in a couple of months is facing me. Is it 15 after yet? It's not? Let me do one thing then. I am going to write in the air a simple English sentence, and I don't want anybody to say it out loud. All right? You remember Paul Harvey? Good day. All right. This is the station where you'll hear Paul Harvey. This is the station where you'll hear Paul Harvey. This is the station where you'll hear Paul Harvey. Somebody has got to volunteer to try to say that. At that speed, this is the station where you'll hear Paul Harvey. Who wants to try? Don't all raise your hands at once. Peter. You're young. You probably don't smoke too much. This is the station where you'll hear Paul Harvey. Nice and loud.
This is the station where you hear Paul.
Right. You can't say it. Where you'll hear is a double glottal stop. It requires your tongue to go backward and forward twice. And when I worked for the Mutual Broadcasting System, producing the Larry King Show, these $80,000 a year announcers would come in and say, Dennis, you have anything for me to read? They would sit through the glass, and I would be there and go. And Fred Lowry would say, this is the Mutual Broadcasting System, where you'll hear the Larry... Well, what the hell is this? Try it again, Fred. Yeah. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System, where you'll hear the Larry... Well... So I found out that where you'll hear is like right rear wheel. But my training comes from the fact that I worked for a radio station at age 18 that had two separate sets of call letters, WAMW and WFML. WAMW, WFML. That's why I can say www like that. Now, in college one time, this same nutty professor had us all going www one day, and the room sounded like a motorboat. It was very... Is it 15 after yet? No, okay. I've had great fun traveling around. There's probably very few cities the size of Bozeman, Montana, that I have not been to. I have found out that groups such as Rotary, though, do an enormous amount of good work. And I hope you'll find out today that because of everybody's ingrained personal leadership, that we all can make a difference. There are certain signals we send. And if they're wrong, we've got to fix them. We're too timid about things. We roll over and play dead. It's like kids running around with their clothes falling off of them. In my generation, and for some of us, our generation, if a child was acting silly or too sexual or dumb or used profanity in front of women, you said something to them because you were an adult. And it was your job. The reason I don't say anything to kids is that they have guns.